Look, movies clash all the time, but if it's Shazam 2 pitted against Avatar 2, that's some serious competition right there. And apparently Warner Brothers thought so too, since they pushed the release of the film to earlier this year. But David S. Sandberg shared that he isn't really intimidated by it and he disagrees with the shift. Here's what we know so far. First off, Sandberg disagrees with the shift of the release date. We don't know how much we agree with this one, since the last Avatar film came in 2009, and it was the first most visually stunning 3D film to hit the big screen. But Shazam's director's convinced that it was totally possible for his film to do better than Avatar. At the San Diego Comic-Con, he joked that it's James Cameron who should be scared about the clash, and a joke is all that it can be. During the pandemic, Cameron's pioneering sci-fi epic recovered the title of the highest-grossing film in history, collecting $2.802 billion worldwide, retaking the crown from Avengers Endgame. Second, is it possible for the two movies to be released together? Sandberg thinks they can be. He thinks that the holiday box office has got enough space for both films since they're so different from each other that there won't really be a clash. He claimed that other movies that came out with the first Avatar were also doing well at the same time. That's a sign that it might be possible for Shazam to come out with Avatar. Let's look at what was happening when Avatar came out. Back then, we got Disney's animated musical fantasy, The Princess and the Frog, the renowned Jeff Bridges movie Crazy Heart, and the biographical sports drama Invictus. Of course, two of those films were Oscar-worthy, and none of them had the same target audience as Shazam and Avatar. But Avatar didn't become a box office and cultural sensation because it only appealed to science fiction or James Cameron fanatics. Everyone got a ticket sooner or later. When the film was released, ticket prices were much lower than they are now. However, the film enjoyed an unprecedented run in theaters, playing for over 10 months, thanks to repeat viewings and VIP screenings. The unprecedented popularity of Avatar prompted theater managers to accelerate the rollout of digital cinema so their venues could play 3D. So the decision to push Shazam earlier actually saves us from the stress of having to choose between the two. We can easily watch Shazam on Friday and then watch Avatar the following week. Okay, so the release date has been pushed ahead a lot. We kinda get why the director's upset, because we are too. The film was supposed to be released on April 1st, 2022. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this sequel was postponed to November 4th, 2022, and then to June 2nd, 2023. Then they pushed it to December to avoid clashing with Avatar. The first trailer was shown during the San Diego Comic-Con in 2022. Set to an epic rendition of Eminem's Business, this teaser maintains the same lighthearted tone of the original film while spotlighting a new problem, one of which is a dragon. Sure, the Na'vi nation's great and all that, but nothing beats a dragon in the world of Shazam. That's probably why Sandberg teased by saying he's actually done Cameron a favor by getting his film pushed earlier. And what's going to happen in Shazam 2? This sequel will most likely begin with Billy questioning if he's a competent enough superhero. Not to mention his superpowered siblings are getting into mischief and he's having difficulty keeping them in check. However, Djimon Hounsou's wizard character, who gave Billy abilities before dissolving into dust in the previous film, finally warns that the daughters of Atlas are coming for him. Believing that children stole godly abilities, the sisters reconstruct the wizard's power-transferring staff, which Billy shattered in the first film, and will most likely use it to reclaim the Shazam family's powers. Now, will the film bring any new characters? It doesn't introduce many new characters, but they're still interesting. Helen Mirren's Hespera, the first daughter of the Atlas, an omnipotent otherworldly creature known as a Titan who bestowed Shazam's might. Although Hespera doesn't have a comic book equal, she's inspired by Hesperides from Greek mythology. Hesperides are Atlas's offspring and nymphs of nights and sunsets, famed for guarding a garden with a golden apple tree, both helping and manipulating those who stumble across it. Hespera in Shazam, though, is definitely a villain. Lucy Liu plays Calypso, Atlas's second daughter. Like her older sister, she isn't based on any pre-existing DC Comics characters. She's also based on a pre-existing Greek mythology heroine named Calypso, a nymph and Atlas's offspring who defends the island of Ogygia in Homer's Odyssey. Calypso falls in love with Odysseus after he's stranded on her island and holds him there for 7 years. He later prays to the gods for assistance, and in exchange, they command the nymph to release him from her clutches. Anthea, Atlas's youngest daughter, is played by Rachel Ziegler. Like both her sisters, she's also based on Greek mythology rather than DC Comics. In mythology, she's a princess of the Greek city of Thespiae who marries Hercules and bears a son. In the movie, she's a Titan rather than a human. The first teaser also also shows Anthea standing next to Grazer's Freddie Freeman, both shouting at the approaching dragon, so perhaps she will swap sides at some time in the film. With the hype building over Shazam 2 and even predictions of a possible third film, Avatar 2 might actually be on par with this one, but honestly, there's no way of knowing until both films are actually released, and it's up to the audience to judge which one's worth watching first. And here's some other related news you might have missed out on. First off, Shazam 2's director talked about a Black Adam crossover. Despite being comic book rivals, Shazam and Black Adam don't appear to be meeting paths anytime soon. When asked if there are any plans to eventually pit Zachary Levi against Dwayne Johnson, the director David F. Sandberg said that they haven't really talked about it yet. In the comics, Black Adam's the Wizard's first champion, which you probably remember from the 2019 Shazam, so they'll definitely explore this plot in the upcoming Black Adam solo film, which will be released later this year. While Sandberg's words suggest that there may be a crossover at some time, it's odd that these two characters have yet to cross paths. But given how successfully the original Shazam film handled its origin narrative without Black Adam, it might not be such a big deal. Second, a Peacemaker character set to join the film. Shazam 2 will be about family and the value of friendships, with a fair dose of witty banter and a deliciously nasty Helen Mirren in action, as the video implies. Rizwan Manji, a character from the James Gunn directed The Suicide Squad spin-off Peacemaker, moved from comedy relief to cult favorite among the series fans. He was cast as Jamil, a janitor at Mount Rouge Health Center, where Christopher Smith, alias Peacemaker, was being treated. Although Jamil hadn't completely befriended Smith, he definitely set the tone to become an unwitting mentor to the anti-hero during his stay in the hospital. In a fuzzy background picture from the teaser, it's obvious that the cameo being discussed in Shazam 2 is that of Jamil the janitor. Sandberg even confirmed that Rizwan is in the film, in an unspecified role, so we're really looking forward to seeing our favorite character again. With the DC Cinematic Universe likely splitting up, there doesn't appear to be a desire at Warner Brothers to recreate the MCU. The Batman starring Robert Pattinson has debuted his own series, while the Snyderverse continues to go forward with the announcement that Ben Affleck's Batman will appear in Aquaman 2. Finally, David F. Sandberg talks about his filming plans. Look, the franchise so far hasn't been so great for nothing. It's got a pretty solid and experienced director. Sandberg told us everything he's learned from test screening and where he is in the editing process. Apparently, he's not worried at all about the trailers being a little too revealing for us. Like with the dungeons and the monsters, we can see a lot of what's coming in the sequel, but he doesn't seem to mind that. He even talked about Rachel Zegler's new character, if Black Adam's gonna show up, and all the cool villains we'll get to see. In the interview, he shared that they were well into the VFX section of the new film and wrapping up editing. He also said that they were planning on following the comic book more closely, specifically the new 52 version, because it's more popular, and they wanted to do a more realistic version of that since the comic itself is more fantasy based. He really wanted to focus on the family this season because they don't even know about Shazam's power, so he wanted to seem all together and just really up the stakes. That's a wrap for this video. Are you excited to see Shazam back on the big screen? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.